Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Impact, Twisted Hearts Love Story number 4 by Autumn Sand, and this is hosted by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Prologue. Ode to my family, the Cranberries, 20 years ago. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The rain pounds on the canopy, shielding us from the storm. Abuela once told me when it rains, it means an angel in heaven is crying. I look out into the vast gray darkness, even though it is 10 in the morning. The sky has opened up and is now shedding buckets of those tears. Pastor Bennett bends and picks up some wet earth and sprinkles it on my mother's casket. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I anxiously shift in my seat, turning to see all the weeping faces. My mother's 8 sisters sit together, huddled in grief. Titi Vivian looks up and catches my eye. She lowers her handkerchief and tries to give me a reassuring smile as tears fall down her cheeks. A gust of wind blows and her hat lifts. She drops her handkerchief to catch it. Readjusting it on her head, the handkerchief is forgotten. I feel a sharp pain on my head and I turn to see my oldest brother glaring at me. "Turn around," he hisses. I straighten in my seat and bow my head, wondering why everyone is crying. Mom just looked like she was sleeping in the casket at the church. She will wake up. I know she will. She's going to open the casket, stand up, and tell everyone to stop crying. That she was just sleeping. That's all. Karina Magdalene Leon, you are gone but not forgotten. You are still alive through your 3 sons, Raymond, Kenny, and Manuel. Through the strength of your loving family, they will see to them and keep your memory alive. Loud cries in the seats behind us threaten to silence the thunder surrounding us. A chill goes up my spine as the casket is slowly lowered into the ground. But how will Mommy get out? I rise and run to the casket as my brothers try to hold me back. Another gust of wind knocks over the flowers as the mourners sob loudly. Raymond, my oldest brother, grabs my shoulders, but I shrug him off. "Mommy!" I scream. Pastor Bennett looks at me with pity in his eyes, and in that moment, I hate him. "Mommy!" I cry out as the casket rests at the bottom of the earth. My middle brother, Kenny, kneels before me and pulls me into his arms. She's gone. I want to push him away, but he is holding me too tight against his chest. Even though we are 5 years apart in age, we were always the closest to each other. "No," I say into his shoulder. "It's okay." He strokes my back, just the way Mommy used to when I cut myself or fell. I find comfort in my brother's touch as he allows me to grieve on his shoulder. "It's okay." His words are calming and soothing. But an image of my mother hits me and I want her back. "No!" I close my eyes tight, trying desperately to hold on to the fading image of her. My face is hot and my head begins to pound. "It'll be okay, I promise," he whispers. I take in a deep breath, the scent of cut grass and damp air coating my nose. I shudder as a smiling image of Mommy disappears. I reach my hand out to catch it, but she is gone. "Come on, we have to sit." He gives me one last squeeze and takes my hand in his as he stands. We walk back to our seats as family and friends stare at us with sympathy. I lay my head in his lap as he holds me. Funeral goers drop flowers inside the grave and offer their deepest condolences to my brothers. Me, they pat on top of my head like I was a pet. I watch as if I am just an onlooker from afar. I feel so distant and disconnected. She's gone. Who is going to cook me my favorite foods? Who is going to make me brush my teeth? Who is going to kiss me first thing in the morning and at night? Who is going to... I hiccup as a deep sob escapes my mouth. I sit up when I see my best friend, Damaris, but everyone calls her Damary, and her younger sister, Zoe. Her mother is my godmother and my mother's best friend since they were little. Her mother talks with my aunts as Damaris walks over to me, looking like an angel in her white dress and yellow bows and her long black hair. "I'm sorry you lost your mom," she says. I look down at my hands, unable to speak. My brothers have walked over to talk to some of their friends, leaving the two of us alone. She takes a seat next to me, and we sit in silence as adults whisper to one another, giving me the occasional glance. You weren't there for him. He doesn't remember you. You cheated on Karina and left her for that whore. You can't have him, my abuela shouts. I look up to see a tall man that I don't know pleading with abuela and my mother's sisters. My aunts circle around him while my abuela faces off with him. I've not once seen abuela yell or lose her temper at anyone. She is always loving and kind and offers me candy whenever we go to visit. I don't know how I know, but I feel as if they are talking about me. I feel it in the pit of my stomach, and I want to run as far away from here as possible. Who is that? Demary asks. I shrug as I stare at him. His hair is jet black, his eyes are brown, and somehow I know he is my father, even though I don't remember him. I turn to look at her. I think that is my father. Her lovely brown eyes widen in shock. Will he take you away? She asks in a hushed whisper. Certain things you should never say out loud because it might become real. I look over at my brothers. Raymond looks away from me, and Kenny hangs his head low. The ground feels as if it has shifted beneath my feet all of a sudden. I think so, I answer. But you can't leave. We said we would always be together. I look at her as tears fall down her cheeks. We will, I promise. How? I'll find a way. And I meant it. I would always find my way back to her. Always. Chapter 1. I've got to use my imagination, Gladys Knight and the Pips. Present day. I stare at the gray cement walls, and my mind instantly thinks of gravestones. Shit. I've seen plenty of those in my day, always fucking burying someone, mostly ones that I love. My mom, Nana. I've got a fucking graveyard full of names etched in my heart, my soul. But there's one thing about cemeteries. They're not there just to bury the dead. I place my elbows on the cold aluminum table, wincing from the pain. Yeah, pain. That's one thing I've learned to live with. Don't think I know how to live without it. Pain and I have become thick as thieves. It's my confidant when I think I'm dead, my reality check when I believe that I can be happy. Pain can even be your lover. A phone rings, breaking me from my thoughts, a welcomed intrusion from thoughts that I don't want to think about anymore. I hear a man's muffled voice answer the phone, and strain to listen to the conversation, but these damn walls are too thick. I rise quickly, the chair scraping against the cheap tiled floors. This room is, at best, the bare basics. 2 metal chairs, a table with a wobbly leg, and a large window that looks out into nothing. But there is always something, isn't there? I walk over to the wooden door and lean in, placing my ear to it. Memories surface from when I was a kid, and my older brother Raymond would kick Kenny and me out of the bedroom when Mom was at work and he brought home a girl. Kenny and I used to put our ear to the bedroom door to listen. I thought Raymond was the fucking man then. Shit, what the fuck did I know? Nothing. I can't hear a damn thing other than people talking and the occasional footsteps walking down the hall. I place my back to the door. I no longer have the strength to hold myself up. I slap my hands on the door. I want to get the fuck out of here. The sound of my own voice sounds foreign to my ears that have adjusted to the silence of the past 4 hours without uttering a fucking word. My thoughts feel like a thick fog surrounding me as the silence once again descends. I repeat, slapping my hands on the door again. I want to get the fuck out of here. I cough. My mouth is dry. Can I at least get some water? Nothing. Silence. But it's never really silent, is it? Thoughts always interrupt the quiet in your head. Fuck it. I walk back to the table, sitting in the other chair this time, just to break up the monotony of it all. I scoot back just enough so I can kick my feet up on top of the table. The stinging pain goes through me again, and I grit my teeth. I stare at the dingy walls that used to be white, but now look like gray gone wrong. Shit. If these walls could talk, I wonder what stories it would tell. The clock, whose hands are permanently stuck on 3:45. Wonder what happened at that time. Did someone break down at that hour? Did someone walk out of here? Or maybe time just stood still and nothing happened at all. My mind goes through all the different scenarios. Yeah, if these walls could talk. I pat on my pockets till I find my addiction. I pull the pack of Newports out and find a book of matches. My lighter is long gone, but some chick at the club wrote her number on this and gave it to me. Shit, that was old school. I meant to toss this in the garbage. I knew I was never, ever calling that number, but now I'm thankful I didn't. I hold the book of matches up in the air like it was my motherfucking lifeline. I guess it is. I strike the match a few times and bingo. We have liftoff. Mr. Leon, there is no smoking in here. It's the first time I've heard a voice since being escorted in this room. Yeah, I say, my cig dangling from the corner of my mouth. I look up in the direction of the speaker, in a corner next to the camera, and give them the fucking finger. I take a deep inhale and blow smoke rings in the air as I laugh. The fuck you gonna do about it? You motherfuckers wanted to talk, so let's talk. I swing my feet back to the ground and lean my elbows on my knees. I'm getting antsy. Need to get this show on the road and find out what they got before I show them mine. I feel like a $2 crack whore. Show me the cash before we can play. All I need is to give her enough time. I can run the clock out for her. I would die for her. But first I need them to talk. My mind races. Did he get her out the way he was supposed to? He said to trust him. But fuck, I don't know who to trust anymore. I swear to God, if he didn't get her out, I'd kill him. I won't need any guns or knives. I take another deep pull on my cig and for the first time notice the blood. Instinctively, I wipe my hands on my pants. I rub them so hard. They feel raw. I see you got blood on your hands. Startled, I whip my head in the direction of the door where a detective silently entered while I was lost in my thoughts. He closes it and walks toward the other chair that I vacated just minutes ago. Shit, didn't hear you. I sat back in my chair and stretched out my legs. Do you want to wash it off? This motherfucker's trying to be cute. Would you let me? He sits back and crosses his arm over his chest, staring me directly in the eyes. You can always tell something about a person who can look you dead in the eye. Tell you what, why don't we talk first? I throw my hands in the air. Floor is yours. Not sure if you heard, but there's no smoking in here. He pushes his glasses up on his nose and leans on the table. Shouldn't you have a notepad or something? I said, there is no smoking in here. This is a public building. That is the law. Is he fucking kidding me? I laugh in his face while I take another drag. Guess you should have taken my cigs when you fuckers patted me down. He reddens in the face. Mr. Leon, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Or what? You gonna take my cigs from me and do what? Silently, we stare at each other, waiting for one of us to blink. Mr. Leon, don't take it for granted that just because we need information from you, that you have carte blanche. Yeah, that's right. They need information from me, and I need to run the clock out. I take another pull. The red embers burn down to the quick, and I put the stub out on the table. He lets out an exaggerated breath of annoyance. I know he's fuming. He wants to lock me up so bad. How does someone like you know the governor? He spits out in disgust. Everything about me makes this man hate me. I stand for everything he is against. I sit back. I don't. It's not exactly a lie, just not the full truth. Then how did you get the governor to call about you? Now that surprised me. I knew he'd do something, but I didn't know he'd get the governor to step in. Because I'm a good poker player, though, I don't let my shock show. Listen, do you want to talk about the governor, or do you want to get down to real business? He's a teeth grinder, and his mustache moves in a comical way as he grinds away the words he wants to say to me. Fine. How do you know Mr. Juarez? Now we're getting somewhere. I look up and stare at him. You got coffee? Because we're gonna be here a while.